Ms. Moore, Wisconsin.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kanjorski, and thank you again, Mr. Liddy, for your service. I think the public generally understands the bonus structure, and are we calling them the correct thing? Were these bonuses that the Financial Product Services Division were getting?
They were retention payments, yes, commonly referred to as bonuses.
Okay, good. Okay, because here's what we don't understand. I guess I think we understand that bonuses are for good performance. And earlier we had the Office of Thrift Supervision in here, Mr. Polikoff, and he testified that as early as December 2005, the Financial Products Group, on their general observation, knew that the underwriting standards for mortgage-backed securities were declining. That by March of 2006, that the Office of Thrift Supervision was talking to the AIG board about this weakness, and certainly by June 2007, they had taken supervisory action against them. So I'm trying to get a timeline of when these bonuses were put in place, of these contracts, because I did read your letter, the very difficult situation that you feel that you're in, having to honor these contracts. But what I understand a contract to be is kind of a meeting of the minds. I mean, I offer my employees a bonus because they're going to produce a good result. But clearly, it seems to me, if I've got the timeline right, that it was the first, according to your letter, it was the first quarter of 2008 when you put these bonuses in place. And so I guess what I would like for you to help me to understand is how you knew that this particular division of AIG was failing, that you would offer bonuses. This is sort of a perverse thing in terms of what we all understand.
Congresswoman, I was not there.
Okay.
I just wasn't there, so it's very hard for me to answer, except with broad conjecture.
I mean, I guess you might agree that it's sort of weird.
Well, okay. I listened to the previous testimony, and I agree with it. There were some
let me ask another question before I get gavelled down. How do you know how other divisions fared? Okay, the fiscal year for AIG is January 1 to December 31.
Correct.
So the first quarter of 2008, March, is that sort of an awkward time to offer bonuses? I mean, wouldn't bonuses come like at the last quarter when you get the report and find out that everybody's done wonderfully? Was March a sort of an off-schedule time to offer a bonus?
Not necessarily. Remember, these were not performance-related bonuses. They were arrangements that said, if you stay in your job and do something specific, wind down a book of business, we will pay you a certain amount of money. So they were really retention arrangements. And while they were signed in March of 2008, the process of deciding should they be offered and negotiating them and crafting them would have begun 6 months before that.
Okay. Let me ask you this, and perhaps you won't know this, sir. Do you know how the other divisions of AIG fared? I mean, I guess some people just worked in the wrong division. I mean, the healthy parts of AIG, how they fared in the bonus area.
2006 was I'm going to answer generally because I just don't have
yes, sir. I understand, sir.
2006 was a very, very strong year for AIG, which means all of the businesses, including FP, would have performed well. 2007 was not, because towards the end of 2007 was when we began to write the value of those credit default swaps down. But the other businesses within AIG, the commercial insurance and the life insurance and the aircraft leasing, they would have had good years.
So, sir, let me ask you a question while I still have some time. You know, in your letter, you talked about your legal department talking about how very difficult it would be not to honor these contracts. But again, you know, our common sense, and I'm not an attorney, but our common sense understand of a contract is that it's kind of a meeting of the minds. You know, it's a deal that's made in good faith, that all things are put together, and knowing that there was tremendous trillions of dollars of exposure, not necessarily to the public at that point because we hadn't taken over, but to the company and to its health? Might it just theoretically be argued that this sort of negates a contract when in fact it wasn't necessarily executed with the great expectation that there would be a positive outcome, given just the ordinary common sense notion of what bonuses are for?
I'm only speculating on the answer because I simply was not there. I don't think anybody, as the gentleman on the panel before me testified, I don't think anybody expected that we would have two things: incredible meltdown in the value of residential real estate in this country and the liquidity risk, or the liquidity crisis that it unleashed. Both of those happened in roughly the second and third quarters of '08, but back at the end of '07, when these contracts were being fashioned, I believe there was a belief that this was a viable, ongoing business. We wanted those people in place to drive that business forward.
Well, my time has expired. I just want to simply make a comment, Mr. Chairman, that, as best as I can reconstruct the timeline, the Financial Products Group knew that they were in deep in decline as early as 2005. So they knew at a minimum that $165 million worth of bonuses perhaps were not warranted. And with that, I yield back.